What's up, Tech Gang? Stefan here from TechRight. Today we're going to be doing the comparison of the Revvl 5G versus the Motorola Moto Power. Stay tuned. Alright everyone, hope you're having a great day. Hope everyone is safe out there. We're going to be doing the comparison right now of the specifications on these devices, as well as running some benchmarks and taking a look at my experience on these devices. But starting off, we're just going to get straight into this and compare the displays. First and foremost, we have a 6.5 inch display on the Revvl 5G. As you guys can see, it's a little bit bigger than the Moto G Power, that being a 6.4 inch screen. We also have a resolution of 1080p on both these devices. Now the ratio is going to be different on the Revvl 5G. We're going to have a 19.5:9 ratio on the Revvl 5G and a 19:9 ratio on the Moto G Power. As far as the PPI, we have a 395 PPI on the Revvl 5G, and we have a 397 PPI on the Moto G Power. Now both these devices are going to be IPS LCD, so these aren't going to be AMOLED screens, but they are going to be Full HD, as I said before. Now the screen to body ratio is going to be pretty much the same on both these devices. The Revvl 5G being 83.07% screen to body ratio, and we have a little bit bigger on the Moto G Power, a little bit bigger screen to body ratio at 83.79%. Both these devices are going to have an ambient light sensor and a proximity light sensor as well. Now, getting into the hardware, the system chip is going to be better on the Revvl 5G, being a Snapdragon 765 compared to the Snapdragon 665 that we see in the Moto G Power. As far as the processors go, we do have an octa-core 2400 MHz Kryo 475. For a Moto G Power, we have an octa-core 2000 MHz Kryo 260. So the processor is going to be better inside of the Revvl 5G. Also for a GPU, we have the Adreno 620 on the Revvl 5G, and we have an Adreno 610 on the Moto G Power. Now you guys are seeing these specifications are very, very close to each other. But we're going to get a little bit deeper, and we're going to show you which one's more worth it as far as the price goes, so stick around. As far as the RAM goes on the Revvl 5G, we do have 6 GB of RAM in that device, and we have about 4 GB of RAM in the Moto G Power, so 2 less than the Revvl 5G. As far as the internal storage goes, we do have 128 GB of internal storage on the Revvl 5G, and we have about half of that in the Moto G Power at 64 GB. Both these devices have micro SD card expansion as well. We can expand up to 256 on the Revvl 5G, and we can expand up to 512 GB on the Moto G Power. Both these devices also have Android 10.0. Now, getting into the battery, we actually have some features that the Revvl 5G does not have in the Moto G Power. Starting off with the Revvl 5G, we have a 4500 mAh battery that is pretty much going to last you all day. But on the Moto G Power, we have about 500 more milliamps at 5,000 milliamps. We also have fast charging in the Moto G Power, and we do not have that on the Revvl 5G, so that's always great to see. Now, both these devices do have a triple camera setup. Starting off with the Revvl 5G for a main camera, we have a 48 megapixel PDAF rear-facing camera. On the Moto G Power, we actually have a 16 megapixel PDAF camera as well. So can't really compare unless I take photos and compare those, and I'll probably do a full photo comparison on both these devices because you can't really measure the devices by their megapixels. But we have 16 on the Moto G Power and 48 on the Revvl 5G. Going down the secondary cameras, both these cameras are going to be 8 megapixels, and both are actually going to be ultra wide. And for our third camera, we're going to have a 5 megapixel macro on the Revvl 5G, and on the Moto G Power, we will have a 2 megapixel macro. Now, as far as the front facing cameras go, I definitely want to do a comparison on this because there is a bit more technology on the front facing camera in the Moto G Power as opposed to the Revvl 5G, but we do have a 16 megapixel camera both these devices. However, the front facing camera does have image stabilization on the Moto G Power. We also have HDR, and we have slow motion videos as well, so we are getting a few more features on the Moto G Power than the Revvl 5G. Now, as far as the build and design of both these devices, for the backs, they are going to be plastic. The Moto G Power is actually going to have an aluminum frame though, so if you guys didn't know that, it does have an aluminum frame, so it's great to see that build quality on such an affordable device. And as far as our security and biometrics, for a Revvl 5G, we have 2D face unlock and fingerprint, and on the Moto G Power, we actually just have fingerprint. Also, taking a look at the phone's colors, the Revvl 5G does come in one color, and I believe the Moto G Power may have a few extra ones if I'm not mistaken. But we do have smoke black on the Moto G Power, which I think looks really decent. It does tend to leave a bit more fingerprints than the Revvl 5G does because it has a frosted nebula black back. I definitely like the color better on the Revvl 5G. This is all personal preference, so this is subjective, but I definitely like the color on the Revvl 5G better. Alright guys, so as far as our cellular capability, we actually do have more bands on the Moto G Power than the Revvl 5G as far as the LTE goes, but getting into 5G on the Revvl 5G, that is going to have those 5G bands, and the Moto G Power is just not. So in my opinion, I feel like T-Mobile's 5G really is super spotty, so I really don't even think this is a fair comparison because the Revvl 5G is going to have that T-Mobile 5G on those separate networks, and the Moto G Power is pretty much going to work on any US carrier. So definitely use that information and weigh your options for yourself, because I feel like different people want different things. So always keep that in mind. Alright everyone, so moving on to the benchmark scores on Geekbench 5, we're going to be comparing the scores. The Revvl 5G is going to be on the left and the Moto G Power is going to be on the right. Now for the Revvl 5G, we pretty much doubled our score with a little bit more extra at 624 for a single core score and only 304 single core score on the Moto G Power. Our multi-core score is about 600 more than the Moto G Power as well at 1944 compared to 1309. Now as far as our single core score goes on the Revvl 5G, it's going to be placed in between the OnePlus 6 and the Xiaomi Redmi K20 Pro. So I feel that's a pretty good place to place this device. The specifications are definitely there. They're going to outpower the Moto G Power. But there is a caveat, so definitely wait till the end. And the Moto G Power is going to fall just below the Samsung Galaxy A50 with a score of 305 compared to 333. Also taking a look at the multi-core scores on the Revvl 5G, it's going to fall in between the Xiaomi Pocophone F1 and the OnePlus 6. So I think that's a really fair place for that device to fall. And as far as our Moto G Power goes, it's going to fall in between the Redmi Note 7 and the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. So that caveat at the end, really, this was a pretty fair comparison, to be quite honest. Other than the 5G, you do get a bit better specifications on the Revvl 5G, so you guys are going to have better processing power. But the difference between both these phones is $150. So the Revvl 5G is going to be $400 and the Moto G Power is going to be $249. So there's about $150 difference as far as that goes. And you guys can also find some used examples on eBay and Amazon for even cheaper. And I believe the Moto G Power is even cheaper than $250 on Amazon right now, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely go ahead and check out those affiliate links. But I really do like the Moto G Power. I really think it does hold its own. The Revvl 5G is just in a different ballpark. But as far as the price and everything goes, I feel like the Moto G Power won as far as, you know, taking into consideration the price you're paying and the specifications you get. Obviously, the Revvl 5G beats this phone as far as processing power and computing power. But as far as everything else goes, I feel like the Moto G Power is definitely a better deal. Seeing that 5G isn't really too prevalent in certain areas, so you're going to have some shoddy connections on that. Yeah, tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you guys did enjoy this video, please leave a like down below, as well as subscribing if you're not a part of the Tech Gang already. Also hit the notification bell if you guys want to be notified every time I do upload a new video. This has been Safan from TechRight. Peace out, Tech Gang.